Hello and welcome to Season 2, Episode 6 of Les Oderants. I am Dan and I am joined as ever by Ben, by Fliss and by James. Say hello.
Hello, hello.
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 Well, that
was shit.
That was the worst. I mean, normally you guys are a bit fucking useless, but you know. Anyway.
Get it off on the right foot, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So, what exciting stuff has been going on? I want to start by talking about two things that have caught my interest this week. One is, so a friend of mine, Mariam, asked me to collect for her something that she'd bought on eBay, and it turns out this person lives nearby. And it turns out the thing that she'd bought was a 1 litre Guerlain B bottle of like the Cologne Imperial. I don't think I've ever seen a 1 litre bottle of any Guerlain. It is the most amazing.
In the B bottle as well.
In the B bottle. Is
this the Mariam I think it is? Because she's got exquisite taste and the best collection in the history of the world.
It is that very same. Go on, Ben. Sorry, what did you say?
Sorry, yeah. Is that like a shop thing? Is that like a sort of display?
So it wasn't a display because it actually came sealed. So I asked the woman, when I collected it, I asked the woman where she'd got it from, and like, obviously, do you have any more? And she was like, no. It turns out a friend of hers basically worked as like a department manager at this department store which closed down years ago. And she'd just sort of given her loads of stuff and sort of said, oh, can you sell sort of some of this for me on eBay, please? Which was mostly makeup, apparently, which is all gone, and this enormous 1 litre bottle of perfume, which Mariam paid £400 for. But,
no way, she's got a deal.
I know, it's amazing.
I didn't realise she lived near you, because that means I'm going to have to
No. Mariam doesn't live near me. The woman who she bought it from lives near me, and that's why I had to go and collect it. Yeah, no, Mariam lives in the Midlands somewhere. But yeah, what an absolute star. So that was nice. The other thing, slightly less tasteful. Actually, no, I don't know.
3 guesses what this is going to be.
Yeah. I mean, I think we should talk about the new Nasomato. What's it called? Sadomaso? And it's basically, it's a standard Nasomato bottle, but the cap is a black belly.
I mean, I've just written in my notes, news, Nasomato, Sadonase, phallic edition, the sweat of pleasure, question mark, the state of it all.
It's fucking embarrassing. I mean, it's like, it makes Aaron Terence Hughes' unicorn shtick look positively fucking, like, mainstream.
I actually did wonder if they got the director of Aaron Terence Hughes' fucking Legend video to do the advert
legend.
for it.
I mean, the video looked like it was it was like shot by some teenagers in the 90s. It just looked so bad. There was nothing classy about it at all. It was like an A-level bad film.
I thought it was great, guys.
Just awful.
I fucking love it.
It wasn't class. There was nothing cool about it. There was nothing edgy about it. It was just like big wide shots and then some mid shots. It was just badly lit and badly edited. It was crap.
You know, in the 90s, to be honest, it probably still happens even now because I've seen it more recently, but in like American sitcoms and that, when they go to clubs and they try and approximate a club, and it's like, whoever did this has never been to a club before. It's like they've read a description of what happens in a club and they've gone, yeah, let's film that. And they've just set it up in their, like, I don't know, some sterile environment. And that's what it was like. It was like...
There's lots of pink lights and some blue lights and people in brand new rubber suits that have never been wiped clean.
Yeah. And it was like, this is what an S&M club looks like to someone who's never been to an S&M club, has basically just been told, this is what S&M is. Rubber suits and chains. It was...
Well, you know I'm inclined to oversharing about stuff.
Really?
No.
I think this is news, James.
I've never been to an S&M club, so I've no fucking idea what they're like. Have you guys? No? Yeah, you have.
Yeah.
All right.
I've been to quite a few of these weird places, and I've been to a swingers place.
Well,
oh wow. Why does this not surprise me at all, Ben? I mean,
The only thing that
good.
I live in Brighton, don't I? It's like part
true,
of the course,
yeah.
isn't it? Part of your Brighton
Well, it's about,
band.
access to
All
them.
I'm going to say is that, as far as I understand, that they're always a lot cleaner than you think they're going to be.
A lot less like rubber and chains and men standing there like they're from...
a lot more people asking for, like consent.
Hello?
I think the funniest thing, my only experience of them is going to Amsterdam and being like in the red light district and just like looking since the smoking ban, because there's all these kind of like anonymous sort of doors that they don't have any. They're literally like that Nasa Martin thing, like a little shutter fucking secret club thing, and it's just loads of like men. The average age is about fucking 87. And they're all outside, literally, with like all the fucking rubber gear on and the chains and all that, just having a fag outside. They're not, they're not allowed to fucking smoke in there. They're allowed to do whatever filth they want, but they can't have a ciggy. You know what I mean?
Oh, mate, related. So the smoking ban, that came in on a Sunday night in the UK, and I went to see the Happy Mondays that night. I distinctly remember it was that Sunday night, and it was in Manchester. And Shaun Ryder was smoking on stage, obviously, like fuck the smoking ban and all that. But there was this guy got basically thrown out by the security, right? He was thrown out for smoking in the toilet. So he's been carried out by these two bouncers and he's gone, I don't get it. You're allowed to do fucking cocaine in the bugs, but you can't have a fag. No. It doesn't quite work like that. Anyway, what is it called? Sadonaso or something like that?
Sadonaso.
It might be a great perfume, though. Who knows?
I will bet you
Matt
dollars to
Keane
donuts.
said it's brilliant, but Matt Keane really likes the house. So.
Matt Keane, I mean, I love Matt Keane, but that guy is just totally into that house and everything they do. So I always have to take that with a slight pinch of salt. However, it is my experience that the zaniness of the marketing tends to be inversely proportional to the zaniness of the actual fragrance. My guess is it will be a dull as fuck musk, and that'll be the end of it. That's my guess.
Yeah.
Other opinions may abound. What else? What else has been going on this week? Essence. I don't know. I don't even know.
Everyone's there.
Oh, are you at
Osmatique's there.
Is everyone at Essence? Are you there? Are you there? Oh, is it
That means
great?
we've been doing the podcast for a year because we talked about Essence last year.
I want to
been
go
doing
and do
it
the
for over a
podcast
year.
from there. I can't wait to do the podcast from there.
No.
Well,
No.
I'm going to go do a podcast from there.
I'm going to stay here and complain bitterly about everybody else having fun.
What we should do is we should pick a side and go to Petit Fragranzi, which is the kind of classy sort of trade show or whatever, and say fuck Essence. We don't really want to go there, even though we do. Just go to Petit Fragranzi.
Okay, so next year, broadcasting live from Petit Fragranzi, which I've never even heard of. Just tell me about
it's
that one.
in Florence, I believe. I think they have it in the same place all the time.
Oh my God, I love Florence.
So
it's literally my favourite place.
It's a better sort of place.
Sold.
It's a bit more kind of like people who are sort of more in the know. It's a bit cooler. Do you know what I mean?
It's for better people.
Are they going to let us in?
Well, we can probably get a press thing because we're, press, sort of. We could. I'm sure we could.
That's quite optimistic, James.
I'll tell you what. I will wangle it. If you want me to fucking wangle it, I'll try and wangle it.
I definitely want it wangled.
The thing is with Essence, right, is that you think you want to go, and I think I want to go, and we all probably think we want to go because how much fun would it be, right? But then you've got to remember that you'd have to be surrounded by all of those YouTube cunts for 3 days and you couldn't get away from them. It's not like you can just close the tab and leave it. Like, you have to talk to them in real life.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that?
I saw lots of shots of Jeremy Fragrance, and he's like...
To be honest, he's probably one of the most normal.
I don't know. That would be quite worrying. He's still wandering
it is
around.
worrying. Have you seen the state of Fratcom? It's a disaster.
He's still wandering around in that extremely tight white suit. And I think, like... Oh, wow, shit. He actually wears that for walking around and stuff. I sort of assumed this was just, I do my videos in it, and I don't know why I went Dutch there, but I do my videos and I wear my silly white suit. Actually, no. He walks around fucking perfume conventions in that ridiculous white suit. He's become... I don't know. He's gone straight through the looking glass. It's kind of
He's
round.
magic. He's absolutely wonderful.
Power.
Fantastic human. He's just he's just comedy gold, isn't it? It's like, if I could create a human, I would create someone like Jeremy just for a laugh, just so I could stare at him and just think, oh, you're funny.
Maybe God has. You know,
Yeah. Well, that's what he's there for. Okay, right. Well, let's talk about some actual perfume, because there's
a new Dior, isn't there?
Is there?
Yeah, the new Dior Privé soon, apparently.
Diarrhea, as everyone keeps joking.
I saw that.
Kirkijan.
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 How do you actually pronounce that?
I'd say
I sort of assumed it's...
I think that's it, isn't it? Kirkijan.
I thought it was Kirkjan. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Kirkjan. It's a name to conjure with.
To be fair, coming from us, I don't think any of us should try to attempt to pronounce anything. And suggesting that any of us know how to pronounce anything is just a step beyond. We should just move swiftly on.
Indeed.
I think you'll find it's Kirkijan.
I don't believe you, quite frankly.
I believe it's Kijon. Right. Tell me about the new Dior. Do we know anything about it?
I don't know anything about it. I just heard that it's...
All I've seen is all the memes with the diarrhea written on it.
It's about fucking time, innit, really? He's been there for a while now. He needs to get his fucking finger out and start making shit.
It's funny actually you say that, because I thought that, like, they announced that he was going to be there, then they announced like the Au Noir remakes and all stuff like that, and then they didn't really, it all just sort of went quiet, and you would think that they would have like a big, we've got Kirkjan and this is his first fragrance kind of thing, but instead they went, we got Kirkjan, and a couple of months later, like, here's something we've made for you, and hold tight.
Damp squib.
COVID, I don't know.
I wonder if there's
social
politics.
distancing.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, it's not quite news, but
that was all just completely hearsay. Excellent.
Yeah,
exactly.
Hearsay we have.
Just call me a press. I'm a journalist.
that press pass for Florence is really looking really good.
Right. It has, since our last episode, been confirmed that Jubilation 40 is a thing. So that's exciting. Sebastian, the perfume guy. I didn't actually see it, but someone just told me that he'd confirmed it. Like,
now, the guy you were talking to, your buddy at Amouage, he was a cheeky boy, wasn't he? Because he was...
yeah, well, Renault...
He neither confirmed nor denied. So that's the same
I can neither confirm nor deny. Yeah, exactly. He didn't say it in that accent.
Have you got back to him since and said, like, Renault?
No, I should. I might do after this whatever this fucking thing is, episode, podcast. I don't even know what I'm doing.
Highly news influential podcast. Hello, Florence.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Are you all right there?
Sorry. Just, if anybody listened to it, they'd be like, yeah, and who are we not letting in? Oh, those guys.
Those fucking idiots. Right. Fliss, just for that, you can go first. Tell me about actual perfumes, what you have been wearing.
Okay, so I started the week just with utter fuckery. I don't know what I was thinking, right? Somebody put on one of the groups, Shay and Blue are doing this thing whereby you get 15 mils free and all you have to do is pay for the postage. And you just have to sign up with your email and give them £4. So I don't just sign up with one email, do I? Oh, no. I sign up with 2 emails and I get 2 of the little fuckers through the post. Oh, my God. So... I don't know what... I know that me and this brand don't get on. And I know... there's a reason why I don't have any of them in my collection. but it was just awful. So I bought, or paid for the postage for, 15 mils of Angelica Tonka and Blackberry Woods. And they were both just the most bland, overly clean, cheap, highly synthetic, just like packed with like really badly blended ambroxan and isoe super and just all of that aroma chemical.
Sell it to me, Fliss. Sell it to me.
And I should have known better. It was really dull. They smell of like country house gift shops.
I thought you were going to say something else.
It's a bit of a slow.
Yeah, I thought you were going somewhere else. Yeah.
Well, it just, and I know I've said other things have made various parts of me die, but these made my soul die. And I had to, I stupidly put one on both wrists because I was excited to get them through the post. And then I had to scrub them within just 20 minutes because the sillage was really strong. They were just blasting me with their niceness, their nice syntheticness. And I just no. So I had to scrub them, and I don't know if what anyone else thinks about Shea and Blue, but
I think we have a couple of bottles in the house that the kids got at some point that they quite liked, but that's about
But the thing that really surprises me, right, about them is that you can go into John Lewis and you've got the Francis Cucurjan there, and Shea and Blue is right next to them. It's like, well, I don't really understand how you can have both of those like adjacent to each other on a stand of what you consider to be high perfumery, because they just shouldn't.
No.
It should, no. Anyway.
Stop that. Stop that right.
Oh, they always came across to me like a bit of a kind of shopping channel sort of brand.
Don't they stock them in Marks and Spencer's?
They do, yeah. They do. Yeah.
But I mean, even that, Marks and Spencer stock some nice stuff, so that shouldn't.
Monotheme. Have you ever seen the monotheme fragrances that Marks and Spencer stock?
Yeah, I've
they're
got
real
a few,
cheap, but they're pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, I started off really sad and grumpy, and then I changed that shit up by testing. I did a swap with a lovely friend. With some stuff, and I managed to get my hands on that lovely Roger Tuberose.
Oh,
and yeah, I'm very happy. But with it, they sent a little, one of those 7.5 mil travel sprays of Enslaved Pour Femme.
Oh yeah,
Enslaved Pour Femme. Oh my God, I think I might be in love almost as much as I am with the Tuberose. It's just beautiful. It's thick, heavy, floral amber, huge yang, carnation, orange blossom, jasmine, like all of that really like heavy stuff. And it feels very yellow. There's a very, very, very heavy, powdery, woody side to it, and in the dry down, and it smells. I don't know if any of you know Habanita.
Yes.
Yeah, it smells very, very Habanita-ish, but it smells like vintage Habanita as opposed to like the modern stuff. Because Habanita's really cheap now, but
it is.
But the vintage stuff's gorgeous, and it smells like discontinued Habanita. It's phenomenal, and I need this in my life now too.
Habanita, by the way, the bottles I think are just absolutely gorgeous. They
used to be, didn't Lalique
black
do them?
one. I don't know.
Sure
I quite like the current ones. They do like a black one, and there's a red one and a white one. Yeah. I think they look very snazzy.
So I think the white one is Eau Fraiche. There's a cologne which is clear.
Right.
The black one is the EDT and EDP, and the red one is that's the was it 100 Years?
Sainte-Cellier.
It's the Sainte-Cellier bottle, yeah, it has the same juice inside, but it's a celebration of the 100 years. But anyway, so that made me infinitely happy, if not grumpy, that I'm now looking for it, and it's bloody discontinued as well. So that's really
just
not
to make
helped
your
my
life difficult.
Yeah, I know. So I can't afford it and I can't find it, which is, both of those things are excellent.
Double whammy.
Double whammy. Boom, boom, boom. I also tried Date with a Dame by One Way Bridge, which is an artisanal brand from New Zealand.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So I don't think it's even listed on Fragrantica, but somebody sent it to me as part of when you do swaps and whatever, they pop things in. And it's lovely. Really, really nice. It's like a lovely, musky, mallowy confection. It's very pink and light. It's a little bit tuberose, but it's very deftly handled. It's not like tuberose heavy. It actually feels very marshmallowy and slightly heliotrope, even though heliotrope isn't in the notes. And it's got really good sillage, and it lasted ages on me. I really liked it. I don't think I'll be purchasing it and paying the import charges.
Although I think the new trade deal includes New Zealand, which should mean that we don't then pay import duties on anything from like New Zealand, Australia, and that kind of stuff. As of some point fairly soon, I guess.
Maybe you can afford to ship it halfway around the world.
Yeah, shipping is expensive. Yeah,
it is.
One Way Bridge have there's one perfume that I've seen repeatedly on Instagram of theirs, and it's called something like Top Tier or Top Table or something like that. Top Shelf, that's the one. I really wanted to try that one because that one sounds great, but I didn't really fancy paying for a fucking sample to be shipped across the globe.
I mean, for me, I felt that it was very well made, really well executed. There was, I liked it. It just feels a little bit as if distance is between us.
Good. Okay. Fliss, what else?
I was also sent None by Laboratory Olfativo.
None, as
none,
in
yeah, no, not as in religious nun. I think there's an Egyptian god, I believe, called Nun. But anyway, yeah, I should have done more research and been able to tell you about that, but I haven't. What I do know, however, is that it's very nice, clean, fresh white flowers kind of thing. There's quite a strong pear at the top, and there's lots of citrus and bergamot, and it's very light and airy and watery.
Dreary. Sounds
it's
really boring.
Actually. It's really nice. It has a really spring summer smell, and it's a sort of light white flowers that I used to wear for years, and I had hundreds of slightly different iterations. Things like The Old Michael by Michael Kors, although this is less screechy. Matin du Rage by Annick Goutal. Betales by Chantecaille, which is now discontinued. And even that first Kim Kardashian that came in the purple circular bottle. All of those things I think are very much of a muchness. And this is a very nice version of that. Well, all the ladies that are listening will, so you know.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I'm not familiar with the Kim Kardashian one. Is the Kim Kardashian one any good? Because I mean,
it used to be. It's been really badly reformulated, and it's really.
Was it by anyone interesting? The perfumer. I
can't even remember, but I remember when it first came out, everyone going, "Oh, actually, it's really rather good for a celebrity fag." And then I had an original bottle, which was really nice, and then more recently I've tried it, and it's not a patch; it's just been badly formulated.
Did we do an episode on celebrity fragrances?
We really should, I think.
Not yet, but there's some gems.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's probably worth doing. I feel like we definitely did one, but clearly haven't.
No, I don't think we... No, I don't remember one.
All right. Well, I mean, if we did, everyone else has forgotten it, so we may as well do another. That works for me. Good. All right. Anything else from you, Fliss?
Yes, I mean, that was really nice, and I'm looking forward to using the rest of that up in the spring when it's a bit more springy. And I would like to thank Lynette Harwood who sent it to me.
Lovely Lynette.
Lovely Lynette. It's delightful. It's really lovely, fruity, white, fresh floral. Then, oh my God, a friend on Insta, Jasper Drack, sent me...
That's not a real name.
No, that's his Insta name.
No.
Sent me a little dram of 1940s vintage Chanel Parfum Extrait. Oh my good God.
That good.
That good. I'm not a Chanel No. 5 fan at all. And I've always found it a bit dated and flat, and the aldehydes. It's never been really me, but this is something else. And obviously the formulation is from the 40s, but it's also had a chance to macerate for like a fuck ton of years. So there's all sorts of good stuff going on.
About 80 years, yeah.
But it's phenomenal.
Wow.
Really, it's woody, ambery, really soapy and clean, with just a touch of animalics in the base. All the floral, none of the florals really jump out in any particular way, other than they're just incredibly cleanly blended and they meld beautifully. I wore it all day and I felt classy and happy and cool. And nice. I never thought I'd feel like that way wearing Chanel No. 5. I never thought so.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is nice. Classy and happy and cool.
Yeah. That was a good day.
That's how most people describe me, by the way. Classy, happy and cool.
Is it, Brian?
Yeah. Fuck off. Yeah, it is. Yeah. Fuck off. Yeah. Good. Right. Anything else, Fliss?
Last thing is
You're getting worse than James, you know. You lost a fucking long ass list. But go on.
Okay, so last thing was Luke Holden saw me barbling on about tuberose in the last episode and the episode before, and he sent me a tiny, tiny drop of tuberose Absolute, and it's just in its pure form, and you can see it's absolutely tiny little peg of it there.
Yeah, and
it's phenomenal as well.
Oh,
and
really?
It's beautiful, and just the tiniest drop on your skin, or just wipe it on your skin. It's green and crunchy. It's smoky. It's dense. It's addictive, and to be able to smell tuberose Absolute in its pure form was, and will continue to be, because I've got some left, continue to be an absolute delight. And it's really interesting smelling it as a material as opposed to in something. And it's kind of opened my eyes to a different element of the note, in a way that I wasn't expecting. I was expecting not to enjoy it as much as I did. So I was expecting it to be too much, but it's not too much at all. I want more. It's
not too much. Never too much.
I want more.
Fair enough. Okay, well, I think we are still planning to do a tuberose materials episode at some point fairly soon, subject to availability of materials, because it seems like one that's a bit of a riddle. I think it should kick up some interesting discussion. I'm going to move on to Ben, though. Ben, what have you been wearing?
Yeah, really fast, because everything I've been wearing we're going to be talking about in the second half.
Okay.
From one fragrance that I bought, and it was cheap. But talking about celebrity fragrances, this is a celebrity fragrance of sorts. Snoopy, Groovy Green.
What?
Snoopy has a fragrance.
Snoopy's got a fragrance. Snoopy's got a whole line of fragrances. Right?
Really?
Yeah. And the thing that stuck out to me was in the note listing, it was blackcurrant and violet leaf and vetiver and musk in the base, with like a whole bunch of like florals, including Lily of the Valley, unfortunately, in the mids, right?
I have heard of this, actually. Yeah, there's like a Charlie Brown one and stuff, isn't there? And
and I was like, that sounds like a crisp green spring floral, bit of vetiver and musk in the base. Lasts about 10 minutes. Yeah. Smells all right. Smells fine, but lasts about 10 minutes. And it's like weak as water, basically. And I did wonder if it was almost like those kids' fragrances kind of thing, because it just didn't have like any like power or longevity. I bought it off eBay and donated it to my nephew.
So they use a thing called money, which is like it's like a store of wealth that you can use to exchange for other goods and services.
What I meant was, like, when I say how, it's like, what was the process if you
what was the motion?
Oh, yes, I think I shall purchase some Snoopy perfume.
So I was looking on Fragrantica under notes for perfumes with blackcurrant, and it popped up, and I was like, oh, come on. So I eBayed it, and it was like £8, and I was like, I'm going to have fun with that. So yeah, I just give it a try, and it was like, it's sort of like, I don't know. I suppose it's what you might expect from like a cologne or something, but even weaker. or almost like a perfumed water sort of thing.
They do one called. He does the one called Love Drops as well. It looks here as well.
Yeah,
Love
quite a few.
Drops.
Snoopy Love Drops.
Snoopy Love Drops.
Yeah, Groovy Green. I recommend if you want something crisp and light,
but doesn't last.
Yeah, maybe I see it as a sort of like a gym sort of thing, maybe.
Someone on Fragrantica said it smells a little bit like Champs-Élysées. I cannot believe that to be true.
So I was looking at this perfume, which is Stefan Humbert Lucas Mortal Skin, and I thought this might have was it blackcurrant, blackberry? No, blackcurrant. You wanted. Well, this has got a blackberry note, not blackcurrant. But I've been wearing this a bit, and it's a bit weird. I can't work out whether I really, really like it, or
is it green?
No, it's got this sort of weird, sort of inky, fruity sort of note. It's a little bit like so the sort of image is like a bit like someone's just got a blackberry and kind of like scraped it across a piece of paper kind of thing, and then sort of wafted it at you. But then it sort of has a load of amber. It's quite, I mean, I think it is really just an amber at heart, but it's got a load of stuff going on. Cedar, birch, musk, cardamom, iris, Popanax, myrrh, labdanum, incense.
To be honest, that sounds brilliant.
Yeah, I was going to say that sounds like it should.
That sounds brilliant.
Amazing.
I can't quite make my mind up about it yet, which is usually a good sign. I mean, generally, I sort of feel like most perfumes, I can figure out whether I like them a lot or dislike them within about an hour. Whereas this one, I'm still scratching my head about, having worn it a couple of days. And that's usually a good sign, I think.
Yeah, I think so as well.
Making you think. So that brand, though, you held up the bottle, and I didn't recognise the name of what you were talking about. But I recognised.
You recognise the bottles
because it's all over my Insta at the moment.
Has it got like a snake? It's like a snake.
The snaky skin.
Snaky. Yeah,
on the tops.
Stefan Humbert Lucas. They basically they're firing these out at influencers at a rate of knots. They are not firing them out at me, though, but I got a line on some discounted ones from France. So, fuck them. I will pay for them, but not retail. But it's...
Was the problem... Oh, go on, sorry.
No. Go. You go. Go.
Well, no, I was going to say the problem looking for blackcurrant fragrances that I've found, or blackberry, like they're basically like a dark fruit is what I'm after. But the problem I've been finding is that there's a lot of them are just green. Like they go for like a fresher vibe that's sort of like, then they put this sort of like fruit side to it. Whereas I'm looking for something that's more like just a dark fruit.
Have you tried Myrrh and Musk by L'Artisan Parfumeur?
I've not. That sounds like I should.
I think you should. It's a very musky blackcurrant, but it's there. The thing I find about blackcurrant is that they can go quite pissy quite quickly if you're not careful on your skin.
Yeah, I'm all right with that.
Yeah, I know you are, darling. I think have a if someone can get you a sample of Myrrh and Musk, you spaff that over yourself, see what happens.
God. Oh, sorry, I just had a flashback to last week's episode. And I'm still in a state of shock over that. Anyway. Okay, well, interesting. I shall send you a sample of Mortal Skin when I can be asked doing the whole posting stuff thing. But I think you might well like it. And I think I might well like it. I just can't fucking tell at the moment, which is, as I say, it's kind of unusual. Normally if I'm not sure, it means it's something that I'll grow to like really love and be obsessed with, because it's like there's enough there to let you know that you don't hate it off the bat. And it's interesting, and it just feels like I'm slowly being pulled in. I might resist the whole thing and just go, nah, it's fucking shit, mate, and sell it tomorrow. But who knows? Right, I feel warmed up. I feel ready for it. I feel like it's going to be a big one this week, James.
Well, I'll just start by saying I'm a little bit under the weather. So sorry if I'm a little bit low energy, because I've been really looking forward to doing this episode and but I've just felt like shit the past couple of days. So that sucks, but I'm plowing through it. So anyway, the first day I wore Annick Goutal, Mon Parfum Chéri pour Camille.
Oh, you're very smart. It's gorgeous.
Which you sent me. I don't own it or anything. And I was just scratching around going, what is this? Because, I mean, it is a patchouli fragrance, but that's an oversimplification of what's going on. It's kind of powdery, it's floral. It goes a little bit into that kind of like potpourri type, like floral kind of. It's. Oh yeah, it does. It does.
All that lovely iris. It's not potpourri.
Yeah, it is a little bit.
Fight.
But, and I mean, it's patchouli, but it's like it's not dead full on like earthy sort of patchouli, is it? It's kind of. I don't want to say nondescript because that sounds like I'm being a bit mean to it. But yeah,
Fliss's face is looking like someone has just fucking shot her dog or something.
Like potpourri is not a bad thing. It's quite a lovely thing, really. It kind of says to me that like there's probably some semblance of like something natural in there.
So just a little side anecdote for no good reason, but when I was at university, I had a summer job working at the job centre, which is a weird place to work. They came past school when I was doing my A-levels and interviewed people who would come back every summer to work for them. So that's what I did. And one of the things, there was like a scheme where you could get a small amount of money to set up your business. And one of the local absolute fucking hard nuts, like, frankly, fairly limited repertoire of words, came in and was trying to pitch his business idea. And he said, and this was like, 25 years ago, but for some reason it's never left me. He said, yeah, I want to get a business. I want to sell pot puree and shit like that. Pot puree. So, yeah, you're talking about pot puree there, aren't you, James?
Yeah, but like I say, it's not a diss. It's like, it's like a dry, sort of floral smell. I don't know. Yeah, like I say. So I think we should move on because I think fucking Fliss is going to deck me in a minute.
I literally think it's absolutely the opposite. I think it's the most beautifully warm, almost damp smelling iris and patchouli. And it's slightly powdery, but I don't find it dry at all.
I think we may have to allow you to disagree in order to move this one along.
Used my sample up and so I can't really check. But this is the problem with perception, you see. It's all like I could say that like one time and then spray it another time and go, oh yeah, it's like actually not that. So don't ever
listen to anything I say.
Yeah, well, that's true. That is true. And I think that's like, because I can always go like, oh shit, actually I was totally wrong about this perfume. But yeah, I mean, I wasn't mean about it. I liked it. I enjoyed wearing it. Like I just happened to mention dryness and potpourri and I don't know. Anyway.
Pot puree.
And then I wore Eris MX, which is just like nice kind of musky thing. It's all right. And then
all the ringing endorsements tonight. Yeah, it's all right.
And then I wore D&G by Man, which we
I love that.
And I love that as well.
Did you get that bottle when you sort of stalking one on eBay?
I was lowballing this guy and he was just like, fuck off, because he wanted like 200 quid or something for it, and I go, yeah, I'll give you 50 quid, and he was like, oh, fuck off. So I don't really blame him. But no, I kind of went up to about. I think you were sort of like we were sort of tag teaming him, weren't we? Not like we were saying last week. Nothing like that.
I can't speak again.
We were sort of.
Oh Jesus!
We were
Christ.
just trying to get a decent price, and I think I went up to like 90 quid or like 100 quid or something.
Yeah.
But anyway, it didn't happen, did it? So it's lovely. I mean, it's a kind of woody, sort of musky thing, isn't it? We know what that's all about.
Last time I posted a picture of that on Instagram, Instagram removed it, saying that it broke their rules on, and it was something to do with animals. They clearly they must have thought the bottle was a zebra or something,
like zebra skin.
Yeah.
That's bizarre, isn't it? But,
it's extremely bizarre.
Yeah.
I appealed and it got reinstated, I think.
Right.
But
I mean, it's not like you've got like the D&G bottle that's like an elephant's foot. You know that one? No, there isn't one. But I'm just making it up. But no, I remember seeing on Antiques Roadshow again. It was like a little stool or something, and it's made out of like an elephant's foot. It was fucking grim. It's just like a hollowed out, like a real fucking elephant's foot, and it was like a little, I don't know, little table or a little like kid's stool or something. It's like, yeah, this is actually a fucking elephant's.
that's really unpleasant.
It's horrible, isn't it? Anyway, oh dear. So then there was Frederic Malle, French Lover, which I love. It's kind of Angelica, green, sort of galbanum, vetiver, all that stuff. It's really good. It's one of my favourites. I love it. What else?
I've been looking at that recently. A few bottles been coming up on Facebook, and I've been sort of wondering whether to blind buy it. It's Maurice Roussel, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just it's one of my favourite Frederic Malle's. It used to be my favourite. I think it's the biggest sort of collection of complementary materials that you could possibly imagine. Everything that's listed you can smell, and they all perfectly sort of dovetail into one another, and it's just a wonderful composition. Like, I just fucking adore it. I adore it for all as green and kind of like sort of translucent and weird that it is. It then goes to like this warm kind of musk. It's very, just beautiful. And then I wore Lanvin Avant-Garde. Do we know that?
It's not one I know.
It's kind of like the bottle's sort of like the shape of, like a fucking pebble or something. It's like a kind of oval shaped bottle with like a line down the middle. It's discontinued now. It's quite like sought after, I think. It's lovely. It's kind of a bit musky, amber, sort of a kind of warming amber accord, but it's not overly sickly or overly like cozy warm. And it's kind of like tonkery. It's lovely. It's really beautiful. I think they say it's like tobacco-y, but I don't really get that very much. But it's just a beautiful fragrance. Then I wore Santa Maria Novella, Rosa Novella, which is a rose perfume from that brand. And as you'd expect, it's very good. And I didn't read anything about it. I just picked it up one day because I was kind of scratching around and was like, oh, I've got these. Put it on. And I said to myself straight away, oh, that's May Rose or Rose de Mai. And I don't I don't have any Rose de Mai material because apparently it's really expensive. And I just sort of immediately went, this is May Rose, this. And I didn't know how I knew that it was May Rose, right? And I looked at it and I was like, yes, it is May Rose. Because I'd worn another perfume the other week, which smelled quite similar, and it was that Foa one. Mm-hmm. And it was just, it's mad how, it really was like, it was not a similar perfume, but the rose, like, note or whatever was very similar to that. And I was like, oh, that immediately sort of chimed with me that it was that. I didn't even remember it was that perfume. I had to look back. But I was like, no way, that's cool. It's extremely low-lying to begin with, to the point where you smell like sandalwood and like creamy musks and stuff first before you even smell the rose, and then the rose just grows and grows and grows and grows, and then to the point where it's just this creamy sandalwood rose that is really powerful. Like, it's insanely powerful to the point from like when you first put it on, it's almost like, I kind of describe this sort of like swell thing of like the sea going out. Do you know what I mean? Like a massive like tsunami or something like terrible's going to happen. Not that something terrible does happen, something lovely happens. But like, it's that kind of like everything gets sort of like sucked off. Sucked away. I don't even know what I'm fucking saying now. But like, you know, it's that kind of like there's an absence of like, you know, top notes and stuff like that. And it's all kind of like bass. And then everything else just like washes over like later. That's what I feel about that. And it was really powerful in the end. I was like, fucking hell, this is actually like a really quite a powerful rose. Then I wore Dries Van Noten Cannabis Patchouli.
That sounds awful.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually not, right? I don't like any cannabis perfume particularly that I've tried that, you know, it was a trend a few years ago, wasn't it? Oh, let's make cannabis perfumes. And I've said this before, they don't really smell, you know, they don't smell like the actual like flower or whatever. They smell like kind of this sort of vegetal kind of cannabis, which is fine, even though it's annoying and like I don't really want to smell like that. But they've been kind of experimenting with this accord that's kind of some people obviously like. But then I thought, well, patchouli is kind of almost like a good bedfellow for that, maybe. And I think the patchouli sort of saves the cannabis accord in this. And also it could be a good patchouli that's just being like sullied with a bit of this cannabis accord. It's all right. It's actually not bad. I was kind of like, it didn't annoy me. It's not a good perfume, but it's not shit. I thought it was okay.
A lot of sorry, James, just quick. Go on. A lot of the perfumes that say they've got cannabis accords anyway, are they generally made up of sort of patchouli anyway? Like
I would say so.
Yeah, they tend to use patchouli as like one of the main parts of the accord, but
yeah. Yeah, I would say so. But this is a, like I say, particularly nice sort of iteration of that. Then I wore Marbot Man, which Dan very kindly bought me. Yeah, I mean it's really good. Kind of like,
I think it's great.
Yeah, like lavendery sort of like opening, and then into this kind of you know, men's tropey sort of thing. I mean, it's clearly not as like deep as some of like the really classic sort of men's stuff, but it's very, very good, especially for the price, and thoroughly enjoyable to wear and lasts really well. So great perfume, really enjoy it. Comme des Garçons Bleu Santal, which I pop out from time to time. Very heavy sort of Jarvanol, sandalwood perfume, quite creamy, but also very tenacious, very powerful, sort of peppery incense, kind of like spice to it. Really, really good. I think they've discontinued that blue line of 3 perfumes that they did. Then I wore Les Indemodables, Escale en Indonésie.
Escale Indonesia. Oh yeah, Escale Indonesia. I don't know that one.
No, I mean, I thought they were doing 2 vetiver colognes. So these are the cologne concentration perfumes that Les Indemodables do. And they're not widely available unless you go direct to them. So a lot of the places that stock them don't have those. But some do, obviously. But I think you go directly to the Les Indemodables site or whatever and you can get them. I got them very kindly from Brooke. Shout out to Brooke. We'll be talking about her more at some point. Yeah, but anyway, so I said, you can't get these. Can you get them? She very kindly got them for me. I thought there was only one, to be honest, but there's actually 2. So there's Indonesia and Haiti, and I wore them on consecutive days. So I'll talk about both of them. So the Indonesian one is actually, I smelled it and I was like, is this supposed to be a vetiver? Because it doesn't really smell like vetiver. It smells like sandalwood. Then I kind of looked at the thing and went, oh no, this is actually, it hasn't got any vetiver in, it's a sandalwood. So it's kind of a citrus sandalwood. So it's that classic, like, what's it called? It's a little bit like Eau Sauvage. It's got Eau Sauvage kind of vibes, but it's very natural. Like the sandalwood smells really good. The citrus is really good and long lasting. It's just great. It's very subtle because it's a cologne, but it's great. And then the Haiti one is a
vetiver, surely.
Yeah, that's a kind of very faithful vetiver. Has sort of top notes of kind of grapefruity stuff. And then a slightly lackluster, to be honest, vetiver. Smells very natural, very nice vetiver material. It's not like that Dior one we tried the other week. That's very much a perfumer's, vetiver. This is a very faithful, let's really smell like the material. But unfortunately, it doesn't have the lasting power. It doesn't have the other stuff to carry it through. And it becomes very easily sort of, it goes quite quick, I found. But yeah, a nice vetiver, but I'm assuming it's expensive, and quite rightly so, because it's probably got great materials in it, but not really for me. I think there's better vetivers. But anyway, then I wore Naomi Goodsir Bois d'Assessi, something like that.
Assessi. Bois d'Assessi.
Yeah, which is made by Julian Rascanet, and it's a kind of, it's very much, it's like almost like a kind of Beaufort light, so I think Ben would probably quite like it. It smells very much of like barbecue-y sort of woods to begin with. It smells like Gaiac wood to me primarily, but it's this kind of incensey sort of Gaiac wood thing, but it's very subtle, especially for one of his. I think it's 2012 or something, so it's quite a early thing for him. In fact, no, probably, fairly early in his career sort of thing. It's good. It fits in with the Naomi Goodsir line. And it's a good perfume, but it's not great. It's not blowing anyone's socks off. And I think if you like this kind of vibe, this kind of meaty, barbecue, smoky sort of thing, you would probably go elsewhere. You'd probably go to a Beaufort or some other kind of more full-on version of this. But I appreciate the subtlety of it because, to be honest, if it was more full-on, it'd probably do my head in. So I think the balance is good. I think it's a good, well-balanced perfume. However, later on, much later on, it smells like cedar, like a smoky cedar, but after hours and hours. And I thought that was a nice like touch for it to go from Gaiac wood to cedar, which, it's a good perfume. Then yesterday I wore Dunhill Edition, which is a weird green brew of like strange spices and sort of medicinal smelling men's stuff, but it's very original. I don't really know anything that smells like that perfume. It's got kind of like clovey weirdness. It's very strange. Are you familiar with it, anybody? No. Dunhill Edition. Bloody love it. Love it.
That's not the one in the sort of slightly weird roundy square bottle, is it? Yeah,
it's like a round bottle with like kind of like ribs on the side of it, but they're sort of like twisted around it. It's in the same one as that D. Do you remember when you bought that D?
Yeah.
It's the same bottle as that, but it's green juice.
Yeah.
And it's called Edition. It's still available and it's been reformulated, but it's still good. I don't think it's quite as good as it used to be, but it's still good. And then today I'm wearing Floris Santal because we were talking about Floris. It's the only one that I own. It smells a lot like Gucci Envy, which is a good sort of nod back to other things that I've worn, like the By D&G and that kind of golden era that we didn't even realize was a golden era at sort of late 90s, early 2000s, which, stuff like that is really expensive now. But there are alternatives, and this Floris is one of them, and it's very good. Spray loads of it, and it will last.
Nice. Is that you bang up to date, then?
That is me up to date.
Jeez Louise. Right, bloody hell. So, I feel like as a part one, that's actually reasonably prompt and on the money. So,
Good.
Good. Yeah, good. It's unusual for us, really. Now we're ahead of schedule. What we should do is we should just fill for time.
I was going to say now we just talk about shit for 15 minutes.
Right. No. So maybe let's not. We could talk more. No. Actually, I haven't done any perfumes really. I mentioned the Mortal Skin. I got a bunch of Perfume and Romas. So I've been sort of trying to sort these out for months. Because they don't sell in the UK anymore. And anyway, so I got a contact.
Did they not? I didn't know that.
No.
Did you try the Ombre one that I had last week?
No, I didn't, because they didn't have that. So I bought 3. In fact, I've had all 3 of these before. But I kind of I decided that 2 of them definitely I wanted back, and one of them I wanted to try again. So the fig one, so because it's all like springy, figgy, is one called Ichnusa, which is a impossible word to pronounce. Which I guess probably means like fig or something in Italian. I fuck knows. But it's a very green figgy thing, which is really, really nice. It's sort of in the same spirit as the DNS Durga Debaser, but without quite as much of the sort of milky woods kind of stuff going on. It's a little bit greener and more bitter, but it's very good. And then one called Aqua Viva, which is basically just smells like lemons. It smells like fresh lemons, though, not like fucking bog cleaner lemon, which is lovely. And then Batito d'Ali, which I do know means butterfly's wings. And I sort of low-key hate it. I don't know why. I kind of thought, well, I'll probably give that one another go, but it gives me a fucking migraine, truth be told. It's like it's just very, very shrill kind of. It's like it's all there. It should all be good, and somehow it's kind of wrong. It's all fucking awful, and it's a sort of
looking at the notes. It says orange flower, myrrh, vanilla, cocoa, coconut. I mean, it sounds like it should be delicious.
It should be. It should be delicious and delicate. But it's not delicate. It's like a fucking sledgehammer. And that is the problem. Sledgehammers should be made out of fucking I don't know, whatever sledgehammers are made out of. Tungsten carbide drills. Heavy things, exactly. If you make a sledgehammer out of butterfly wings, it may well functionally work, but it's a fucking stupid way of doing it. And that's broadly what this perfume is. It's something that should be delicate and delightful and airy, and yet it's just like being clobbered over the head with like a metric ton of butterfly wings. And 2 others worth mentioning. One is a vintage bottle. I think it's vintage. I'm not 100% certain. I always thought the vintage...
It looks it.
Well, I thought it's well used, that's for sure. It's a bottle of Obsession for Men. But I always thought that the vintage had a gold band round the bottom of the cap, and this does not. So I need to check that one out. Either way, it smells great, and I remember wearing that a lot when I was younger. And the new Atkinson's one, which I was sent for review, which has got a label that's just off centre for some reason. It's quite annoying. I don't know why.
Maybe send it back, and they might send it back and tell you that you're their favourite.
Yeah. You're now my favourite, Dan, for complaining about our labels. That's how I become everyone's favourite. It's a fact. And indeed, that's how I ended up married to my wife. I complained about labels. So on that slightly weird note, look, let's not prolong the agony. James looks like he needs to take some fucking headache tablets or something.
I do.
Yeah. So why don't we take a short break, and we will return in part 2, where we are going to go through some perfumes from Christophe Laudamiel. And this is going to be interesting. So we'll be back in just a couple of minutes. Stick with us. Hello and welcome back to part 2 of Les Oderants. This week we are talking about a brand. A brand? Yes, a brand called The Zoo, which is by Christophe Laudamiel. He of multiple perfume fame, including my much beloved Fall Into Stars and Amber Absolute and all sorts of other jazz. But The Zoo is his own brand, and they are stocked and supplied in the UK by the very wonderful Brooke from Sainte Cellier, and Brooke kindly provided these samples for us to review. Now, there are quite a lot of them. In fact, there are more than I can even count, so I'm going to say there's something like 12 samples here. Maybe more. And given that we are notoriously shit at getting through anything like that sort of number of perfumes in one sitting, we've kind of, although most of us have sprayed most of them, we're going to limit it to a handful, a selection of 6. First, I would like to ask Fliss to pick one. Which one would you like to talk about first, Fliss?
I would like to talk about, I'm just going to say it, Tuberose Organique. What a surprise. Quelle surprise. I really, really like this. And the reason I liked it is because it isn't like very many of the tuberoses that I currently own. So it is... I think the initial spray for me was greenish, but not that really snapped stem type of tuberose that you get with carnal flower. And I found it very, very fluffy and musky and pink, very, very diffusive. It wasn't... A lot of my tuberoses are very fleshy and buttery, and this is not that. And I didn't find it very bubblegummy either, which I'm hoping will please you.
No.
And
correct.
I found it, there's a couple of things that I have that I consider it to be almost like just the top end of. So MDCI do one called Nuit Andalouse, and also Aluminum do one called Moroccan Tuberose. And they are a lot bigger and bolder than this. But the top end of them both have this very fluffy, pink cloud-like quality. And this is just that. There's none of that other stuff that you associate with tuberose with it, and it's actually a very delightful musk. It's not heavy. My husband, actually said today, which I was wearing it today again, and he said, "Oh, that's a nice perfume you're wearing. I like the smell. This is almost unheard of." He said it's powdery and warm and a bit sweet. I like it, which. Normally when I wear a tuberose, he's like, "Oh, it's really heavy. I don't know. Oh my God, that's just thick perfume." So for him to compliment it, yeah.
Is that your impression of him? Oh my God.
Blah, 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 blah.
Brilliant.
So for him to compliment it, I think means it is different enough for me to think, it's really unusual for me in terms of... And it would sit in my collection of tuberoses, and there's nothing else I have like it. So yeah, that's my take on it.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'll go next on this one. I mean, you're right. It's not bubblegummy. And honestly, I'm not sure I'd even know that this was tuberose, because I'm not a tuberose expert, and tuberose, I just have this very limited kind of association of it as being like the bubble gummy type perfume. It is not that. There's something oddly. I mean, there's a sort of like slightly hospital antiseptic-y kind of vibe to it.
Yeah.
Do you get that?
I do.
James?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, and it sort of, I don't know. It reminds me of like I don't know, something sterile, in like some sort of cleaning agent. Not, I don't mean like sort of it smells like piney bleach or anything, but it just has that sort of, I don't know, that cleansing, sterile sort of ness to it. And I'll be honest, I don't like it at all. I mean, the smell is interesting, but I could never wear this, not in a million years.
It reminds me of like junior schools, like sort of kids' schools, basically. That disinfectant kind of sterile.
Yeah.
Vibe. Quite spicy. Yeah,
peppery.
I like the spicy element to it, but like you, I think I could not wear this. It was the opening is so fucking vile, just punches you in the face, so heavy. It does clear like quite quickly, doesn't it? And it becomes sniffable after about sort of like 30 seconds. But that first like 30 seconds is just like an absolute assault. But after that, it is nice. I do like it. I really like the spicy like side of it. And I actually really like that sterile kind of
I wonder if that's
schools,
that sterileness, because I'm looking at the notes, it's got tequila as a top note, and I'm wondering if the alcohol from the tequila is what is giving you that feeling of.
I confess to having not looked at the notes at all, so I'm just going to give you like way off kind of fucking, but just whatever.
You think
I get.
It smells natural?
No, I don't think any of these really smell that natural at all, to be honest. In terms of the style of the house, I would say no, not at all. It's not a juicy, fresh tuberose with dew dropped on it. It's not. I
feel like this house doesn't. That's not the vibe they're going for anyway.
No.
Like, everything feels like it's like absolutely electronic or something. Like,
yeah. Well, I'm glad you said that. I mean, also, like, how does it compare to your tuberose Absolute?
Oh, nothing like it at all. No, I mean like I said, it feels as if it's just that very, very top end of what an entire tuberose accord smells like. That very just that fluffy, rounded muskiness at the top, and all of that other stuff underneath, like the green crunch, the butter, the flesh, all of those things that I associate with a tuberose accord are just not there. And in the tuberose accord, the tuberose oil that I tested, there's also a lot of smokiness and depth and darkness. This has got none of that. This is just very, very top end pink fluff. If you understand what I mean.
Well, no, that's interesting because obviously you know your tuberoses, and the whole. I mean, the name of it would suggest that it's Christophe's recreation of tuberose. There is no real tuberose in this, but a lot of people are fooled into thinking that there is, and they think it's like the most realistic tuberose or whatever. Again, I'm not directly quoting anybody, but I think it has certain aspects. It's interesting that you say you don't get the kind of fleshy sort of butteriness. I sort of understand that, but I think it's quite like captures quite a few elements. But like you say, it's quite it's quite sort of broad strokes. Here's a recreation of tuberose. Now, somebody sent me. I won't mention who it is because we'll probably go into this at another date. But somebody sent me their base that they'd made, which was a recreation of tuberose, and it's fucking excellent. I didn't know it wasn't, and I'm no fucking expert, but I didn't know that it wasn't a natural material. I thought it was a natural tuberose absolute. So there's people who are very adept at making these bases that smell very similar. But I agree, it doesn't have any of the greenness, doesn't have any of the there's something lacking there, and I think it's deliberate. I think it's supposed to be, because it's supposed to have that like you're saying about that sterile sort of antiseptic weird quality. Now it's definitely like got a bit of like saltiness. To say that he made the Silence in the Sea one, I'm not saying it's similar to that because it isn't at all, but it's like it's interesting that there's all these different vibes that he's kind of got, and this is very like I don't know, it's got a weird like rubberiness. I don't like it here, right? I've just sprayed it again, and I think it's a good perfume, and I think it's like well balanced and well made and stuff. However, I don't like it. But when I smell it after the one that I sprayed 3 days ago, it's fucking exquisite. Right? It is beautiful.
Which was the one you sprayed
again,
3
that
days
might just
ago?
be. It's the same perfume, but I sprayed it 3 days ago on this card, and this is one I've just sprayed.
Oh, right, sorry.
So I'm comparing the sort of base from like about 3 days ago.
And the 3 days old
it's so much
smells
sweeter
good.
and muskier and just stunning. Yeah, to the point where, because I haven't worn this perfume, so I kind of feel I'm not really equipped to. I'm sniffing all these on a strip or on skin, on my arm or whatever. I haven't actually worn them. I may have a slightly different opinion about it, having worn it a few times, but we can't always wear all our perfumes that we're like talking about. So I'm just giving an impression from.
I would agree that I find the initial blast when Ben was saying like they smell almost like electric. There is that feeling of definitely they're not. It doesn't feel, even though it's called Tuberose Organique, it doesn't feel natural to begin with. However, I've worn it 2 days in a row, and the dry down is really lovely. And it was the dry down that my husband was like, oh, and he very, very rarely comments. So yeah, it goes very, very sweet, but it's very puffy and fluffy and pink, and yeah, but not screechy at all, which tuberose can be.
No, and comparing these two is, like I literally couldn't wear that to the point where I'd get this on me right now, sort of thing. So that's a huge contrast. And interestingly enough, Christophe was on JJ Colborne's thing the other week, and he was saying this about like, even if you just spray more of a perfume, it smells different. And this is him saying, and how much like, working with certain materials like ISO Super, you've got to work with that for ages to even be able to like pick up on it because it's so subtle. Or things that you've got to like train your nose to do, and they can and different scenarios and different things can make things smell totally different. So it's so changeable, and that's kind of the point that I was making with like my taste and stuff. I'm like, it can change, So like I could say one thing one day.
I was talking about the Nuit Andalouse by MDCI. I actually have decants of that. I have one decant that is a spray bottle, and one decant of it which I rollerball. And if I roll it and if I spray it, I get two completely different experiences, which is really interesting as well.
Yeah. I think people overstate that as well sometimes. And I'm like, oh, come on. It's not that, there's not that much complexity. And could be accused of saying that. But also there kind of is sometimes. And it's very much down to the individual, which we know. But certainly with this, I mean, it's very changeable from that top. But I know that if I sprayed this on, it would last like this for about 8 hours. But
I think I found all of them really lasted. All of everything that I've tested was like, it lasts all day. You love it or hate it. You've got it for the day. Yeah.
You're in for the long haul. Yeah, exactly.
I wonder if what I will call the Mikey theory of LSD can be applied to perfumery. My friend Mikey, bless his cotton socks, always used to say, if you're having a bad experience on acid, the thing to do is to just have more acid.
Oh, God. Mikey, bless you,
legend.
Mikey.
If you ever want to meet someone who's done too much acid and has permanently had their brain rewired, that's Mikey. But yeah, I think maybe there's something to it. This tuberose, it's like, this is really bad on a strip, but maybe, just maybe, if I did 30 sprays all over myself, just maybe it'd smell okay. Actually, I doubt it. I really, really intensely dislike this perfume. That's not to say it's a bad perfume and for the right person.
It's a moot question, really. We should move on to something else.
It is, but I would not have. I say I dislike tuberose, but this is why I'm so keen to do the materials episode, because I think the reality is of the four of us, I've no shame in saying this, but I think I have the least knowledge of perfumery and notes and that sort of stuff. And for me, tuberose is quite a it's just something I associate with kind of saccharine bubble gumminess, and obviously it's so much more than that. This is not that. So actually, had I not seen it and just smelt that blind, I don't think my brain would have even said, "Oh, this is tuberose," because it's not the tuberose that I can identify from fucking high street vom fragrances. Nevertheless, I still intensely dislike it. It's just that one doesn't work for me.
Which ones
so
did?
Shall we move on to which ones did? So actually, most of the others that we're picking worked. Let's take the rhubarb one. I quite like the rhubarb one. It's very, very synthetic smelling, but this sort of seems like a redundant sort of a statement given how synthetic smelling everything is from the house. But I rather liked it. Certainly the initial sort of the very first few seconds I thought was amazing, and then it settled down and became a little bit more kind of pedestrian. It's a little bit too sweet for me to wear. I don't think I would. Again, I don't think it's a perfume I would wear because I don't particularly want to smell like rhubarb sweeties, which is essentially what this smells like. Doesn't it just smell
exactly like, those rhubarb and custard sweets that you used to get when you were little?
Yes.
In those glass boxes, and you used to go and pay 20p for a quarter or whatever. Yep. To me, it smells exactly like that. It's tart and sharp, but that synthetic, sharp rhubarb that is in everyone's head is what rhubarb smells like. But then there's that sugary crunch on top of it from like the outside of those hard sweets. To me, it's like literally like putting your head in a jar of them. It's amazing. And I kind of love it for that.
I like it for what it is, and I like the smell of it. It's not like the tuberose one where I actively dislike the scent. I like the smell of this, but again, it's not something I would ever wear as a perfume. But then, my tastes are kind of notoriously sort of like basic for the most part, so I'm probably not the right point of reference for that anyway. Ben, I sort of feel like maybe you would quite like this one. Have I got that wrong?
It's like violent electro neon future barb. It's just
but I thought you would like that. That's your jam,
right? When we were saying like you were. Which one we were going to talk about next sort of thing, and you were like, I like all of them. I had them all lined up here, right? And I had the strip here, and I was going to pick it up and spray whichever one you said. And when you said, let's talk about the rhubarb one, I just went, nope, I'm not spraying that. Never again. I sprayed it once, and that's enough.
Oh, really? That bad?
I thought it was hideous. There was something about it that was like really sour and sharp. I suppose I appreciated it from the fact that when I sprayed it, I was like, oh, okay, this smells like I've grown a load of rhubarb and then crunched it all up with some welly boots or something. Like it was like real kind of like zingy, fresh. It had like a green element to it. It smelled like a rhubarb patch. It smelled like I've been, like I say, like smashing around in a rhubarb patch. And I like that about it because it was like, okay, that's quite impressive. But I didn't like it as a smell. To me, it had this like sour, say like zinginess to it that just got under my skin a bit.
There is something, despite me agreeing wholeheartedly with Fliss about it smelling like rhubarb and custard sweeties and being very synthetic, there is something, I don't know whether I'd call it sour, but there's something that smells not quite right. It's like a little bit out of place. It's like there's something in there that shouldn't quite be there. If it just maintained that, I quite like your neon sort of description of it. If it just maintained that neon sugariness from sort of soup all the way through to the nuts, then I think I would like it more. And I'd almost be inclined to wear it on the odd occasion. Again, this perfume is never going to be the sort of thing that I would wear anyway. But as a sort of as a case study in creating, sugared rhubarb, I think it's really interesting and well done.
I can imagine wearing it on like a really grey, rainy day, just as a bit of a pick-me-up for fun. Or on a very, very hot summer's day, just a bit of spritz to go, whew. But I can't imagine wearing it a lot or often. You know, it's not I couldn't imagine it being someone's signature scent.
I adore it.
Excellent.
I adore it.
To wear? You'd wear it?
Yeah, I have worn it. I wore my entire 5ml sample or whatever I had. And I fucking loved it. It's a very cheap throwaway. I'm surprised that it could be so polarizing. Like Ben would like really hate it. Maybe I'm not surprised. I don't know. But like I think as far as like rhubarb perfumes go, it's probably like the best one ever. Like it definitely is. It's got like and going with the custard thing, I think it uses like ethyl vanillin, which is just like a really stronger, to me, more custardy vanilla, which is just, I think it's like it's orders of magnitude more powerful than vanillin, but it's also slightly more like custardy, and I think that's a really good bedfellow for probably one of the better rhubarb accords that I've smelled. I mean, I had that Hermes rhubarb one, Rhubarb Eclat, that one, and like a couple of, and they're just really not very substantial, fruity musk bullshit. Just like it's a kind of appley note, and there's like a material that, if I was on point and like I remembered materials, there's a material that really does smell like rhubarb, and I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head.
Rhubarbanol.
Yeah,
you can have that. Actually, rhubarbanol, that one, yeah.
But it's also like floral, and it kind of smells of. I'll look it up in a minute. But I do use it quite a lot in trying to make kind of rhubarb accords, but also like things like that. Like I don't drink a lot of like pop, but I do drink this rhubarb pop, this Cranston's. Yeah. I fucking love that shit. And it's mainly apple juice, but it's got this little bit of rhubarb, and it just like it tastes like rhubarb. I mean, this is lovely, and just that little bit of like vanilla. It's just a really mild mannered sort of perfume, but it has that like sour, ness of the rhubarb. And I fucking love anything rhubarb. I grow rhubarb. I fucking I love rhubarb. I just love rhubarb.
I love rhubarb too.
I just love rhubarb.
I am genuinely a little surprised that Ben fucking hated it so much. Because like Ben's appreciation for
weird shit,
quite. Yeah, well, yeah, call it as it is, weird shit. I was going to say more sort of extreme perfumery. I think, never ceases to amaze me. But yeah, I was very surprised he went so negative on this. But there you go. So, okay. Ben, do you want to choose next?
Yeah, go on then. Let's do this one because I think it's interesting. And I especially think it's interesting because I already know your thoughts on it, and that I find perplexing. But about club design.
Yeah. Well,
see, I really like this, and it's a very weird smell. It's hard to wear at first. It's bizarre smelling. Smells almost like rubber and plastic, and there's some really sort of strange sort of chemical vinyl to it.
Yeah.
But when it calms down, there's something in this, and I'm not sure if it's an accord or a distinctive aroma chemical, but there's something in this that is in Silence to See. And I find it weird
really?
how,
Yeah.
I wondered if anyone else noticed that, because it's quite strong to me. I would say it's about 50% of the perfume is what to me, it smells like. If Silence to See is like the weird, arty younger brother, this is the sort of slightly more refined, cleaned up older brother of Silence to See.
See,
it lacks the saltiness and the dirtiness.
There's nothing sort of ambergris, sort of like anything marine.
Oh no,
like
there
to
is.
it,
There is to me. Yeah.
Really?
So I think it's absolutely vile. I think that there's a sharp plastic opening It's slightly grapefruity, but it's like a plastic toy box. You know, there's that hard plastic on the outside of toys that you have to take off when you that smells like that to me. And then there's just all these chlorinated aquatics. It's almost like a swimming pool, and it just sat on my hand like a used rubbery swimming hat that had come out of an over-chlorinated pool. And as the dry down continued, it got more and more rubbery and less attractive in quality, to almost to the point where it gets to that excretions magnifique kind of spermy rubberiness. What? And it smells like a wipe clean rent boy that hasn't been wiped clean.
Oh my fucking God. So here's something. I want to check something, right? Because James stepped away for a second there when Ben selected the next one. And I'm wondering if, based on what Fliss was saying, you know which one she's talking about.
I want to say, so it's either Lewis or Club Design.
Club Design, yeah.
It's Club Design.
The dry down for me, it got to the point where after a couple of hours, it was so spermy in that kind of secretions magnifique, which is the same kind of spermy feel that Silence the Sea has. I was just like,
but that's
what it smells like. It does have that kind of salty marine, slightly fishy. It just is spoogey. It's spoogey. If you'd rather I say spooge, I will say spooge.
No, I'd rather you stop talking about it.
For me, it's not it. It's not it at all.
Oh wow!
But I can totally see the link that Ben's making, because I can smell it too. That link.
So
I bet Ben loves this. What did Ben say?
He hasn't.
Yeah, I loved it.
My description of this, and I think I wore it before, and I've talked about it in a full 14. And I said it's kind of like a mixture between walking into Halfords. And it kind of like those sort of inner tubey, like rubbery kind of hardware, and also a little bit like what Wilco used to smell like before they started selling loads of other shit. In fact, I think Wilco's going to probably close down soon, but that kind of thing of like that sort of hardware and like shoe polish and like all that sort of stuff, but kind of at a bit of a distance. I think it's a mental perfume, because it's got some sweet like labdanic like resiny sort of thing in there. It's kind of a bit doughy as well, but it's got all this like, it is mental. And the fact that, I mean, have we talked about the fact that this is a garment perfume as well?
Oh shit, yeah. This is one you're not meant to spray on skin. And the whole gimmick
with it. Well, no, let's say so
melt your skin off.
Well, so what Christophe did, right, which was basically he did this one called Club Design, and he did another one called fucking Hogmanay.
Oh, sorry,
Skin Tattoo. That was it, right?
Yeah.
Scent Tattoo, right? And I remember getting the samples and going, these two are the fucking same. What's going on? Like, they smell the same. And then I saw that one said garment perfume on it, and I was like, the hell does that mean? Like, okay, like, why? What is this all about? And then reading about it, it was deliberate to kind of to make people go, to see if you perceive differences that weren't there. But he's saying that, but there are differences, because he's deliberately overdosed over the EU requirements of, I think it's safranal and coumarin. So, you know, he's done that deliberately. So maybe that could be a perceivable difference. I don't know. They do smell fucking exactly the same, basically. So, sorry.
I'm fucking listening to this. I'm thinking there must be something wrong with me, or maybe there's something wrong with my sample. I'll tell you what my experience of this is, and I don't detect sperm, and I don't detect anything remotely like Silence the Sea. This, to me, is a polite grapefruit over a slightly rough leather. And that's it. I don't get anything else from it. I get leather and grapefruit, and it's kind of pleasant.
I get the grapefruit at the top.
Well, yeah. I know what you mean. The grapefruit's there, yeah, definitely. And the leather, I mean, this effectively is a leather accord. But it evokes like so much other shit, you know?
Leather, which is why I said it's almost like rubbery. To me, it's like a rubbery.
Yeah, I get the rubberiness. Yeah. It's fucking inner tubes.
Inner tubes.
Like,
Yeah,
it's fucking Halfords, man.
Just so weird. I don't get half the shit that you guys are saying about this one at all. And Fliss, your fucking hatred for this perfume is abundant and apparent, but I don't even understand how you could put this and Silence the Sea even in the same fucking conversation, let alone like fucking
it's fun, isn't it? Isn't it cool?
It's mad. It is. I mean, yeah, mad. Maybe my schnoz is broken. In fairness, I have not worn this on. No, I did. I sprayed it on the back of my hand. I sprayed it on the back of my hand the other day, and I was walking around with it, and I was thinking, yeah, I quite like that. It's quite polite. I don't really get what you lot are on about. And so I sort of, I think I replied in our WhatsApp going, oh yeah, I really like that one.
Ben, would you buy it?
Yeah, no, this was my second favourite of all of them. Yeah, no, I liked it. Actually, maybe like third favourite, because there was one that probably is a little easier to wear that I like more, that we'll come to in a minute, I should imagine. But yeah, this I really like this. This is up there with one of my favourites. So like, it's just a sort of really weird, sort of spacey future sci-fi leather. I quite liked it.
That's his favourite, isn't it?
No. So Dan just showed no perfume. So we're going to talk about that next. Because, I mean, I can just go straight onto that. If you like. This reminds me of the smell of underground car parks.
Why not?
Yeah, I don't know if you've ever been in like an underground car park that's got really bad ventilation.
Hell. That is a brilliant. Yeah. It has that sort of exhaust fume sort of smell to it.
Fumes, yeah.
It is awful. See, again, and I sort of, I do this, but I need to try and separate out the art from the, the scent. The scent itself is, for me, this is awful. Just like nasty smell. But I mean, in order to create this, clearly you need to know what you're doing. I mean, you would have to.
So just to quickly wind it back and make sure, because this one's actually called No Perfume. So because we sort of breezed into it, I just wanted to let listeners know that this is actually called No Perfume.
No Perfume.
It's so strong. I was expecting like some sort of airy one note aroma chemical. It's just like, it's full on toxic smoke.
Well, I think the thing about this one, right, and this was one that I was quite keen to talk about. And again, I know a little bit, somewhat of the story, something that it says on the website, for example. However, I thought that it was a tongue-in-cheek thing from Christophe, because to me, the primary component, yes, it smells of those smoky cresols, and you do get that kind of that underground car park. I totally get that fume thing. But what it mainly smells of to me is Amber Extreme.
What? Really?
So absolutely,
Amber Extreme,
it's got like
has that sort of rubberiness, but also a sweetness to it. That there's nothing at all sweet about this, or even compromise. This is like unyieldingly fucking nasty and fucking bitter.
Well, I'd say that the Amber Extreme is unwieldy fucking whatever you said.
I'd say that whatever you said. Yeah.
I didn't even know. I was like, did I even? Yeah, what? I was listening. I'm not being rude. I know, but you know what I mean? Like, that smokiness is just sort of like the base, the thing that's really driving this to be so fucking voluminous, whatever you want to say, is the fucking woody ambers at the base of this. I mean, and it's so much so to the point where I'm like, is this taking the piss? Is this why it's called No Perfume? Well, the only thing it says on the website is that it uses these cresols that are banned in Canada. So it was kind of Christophe with a little fucking, raising a finger to fucking do regulations or whatever, because he's not allowed to sell this in Canada because they don't like the because of beavers and because of castoreum, I assume, and cresols generally they're banned.
What's a
in
cresol?
Perfume in. It's a type of hang on. Have I got some here? Yeah, I've got metacresol. So there's loads of these cresols, right? And they all basically smell. Cresols and like phenols and stuff like that have a very similar profile. They're kind of very smoky and, like they smell like from like tarmac to kind of.
Because they smell like coal tar.
Yeah, sure.
Or creosote.
Yeah, coal tar. Creosote, all those kind of almost like hydrocarbons. So like, those kind of things that you get like from, like that they don't really get from trees and stuff anymore, like turpentine, those kind of like, those kind of vibes as well. But to me, all I can smell is that woody amber underneath. Like now, especially as it dries down, the actual smokiness is almost the sort of top note. The smoke kind of sort of dissipates a bit, and it just smells really strongly of woody ambers. So I kind of felt it was a little bit tongue-in-cheek. It was a little bit of this is not really a perfume because of this tendency to overdose the woody ambers in modern perfumery. And I thought it was kind of him cocking a bit of a fucking snook at it and going, here's my thing that's called no perfume. I might be wrong there. I don't know. You'd have to ask Christophe, but so I think if you don't like woody ambers, you ain't gonna like this.
Do you like it though? Because for me it smells, there's such a linear sort of such a link between this and some of the Beaufort stuff like Tonnerre or Iron Duke, and even that Maison Trudon Revolution, that you can see the link between them. And I smelt it and I thought, bet Ben's gonna fucking love this.
I don't hate it, and I really like. I do really like it, but I don't think I'd really want to wear it, because whereas I get what you're saying, like it definitely smells like the Beauforts, and I immediately get that link of that heavy, like tarry smoke. But with the Beauforts, there's always like the tarry smoke is forefront, but there's the stuff behind it that I really like, and this doesn't have anything behind it. It's basically like, bash, here's this tarry smoke, and that's your lot. But I do really like it because I really like tarry smokes. So I really like the scent, but as a perfume, not so much. I don't think I would wear it really. But I really like it as a scent, and I think it makes me smile when I smell it.
It makes me recoil. It takes perfume brutalism to kind of a new extreme.
Yeah. It is very brutalist. That is a really good. It's concrete and piss in it. You know what I mean? It's like, not that it's pissy, but you know what I mean. It's like a lot of underground car parks probably do smell of piss, but we're getting slightly off topic there. Sorry.
It's a stairwell in an underground car park. Probably from the communist era Romania. Or something.
But do you not smell the woody amber in there at all? Like, because it really offends a lot of people, and I'm really surprised when it's like it's so fucking present in that perfume. I think.
Well, okay, so this will, I guess, come down to my appreciation of Amber Extreme as a material. But whenever I've smelt perfumes that I know to have Amber Extreme in, it's usually paired with something quite soft and sweet, perhaps, that makes it, so you say Amber Extreme and I think sort of slightly sweet rubber, but it's totally uncompromisingly stark and grey and bleak and fucking nasty. I just like the smell. I cannot imagine ever wishing to smell like this. As an experiment, it's genuinely interesting. As a perfume, I just like, what the fuck? I know, just no.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so that's interesting.
Can we talk about Amber Classic and Modern next?
Yeah.
Since we're talking about amber.
Is that your favourite?
But I think this is a really fascinating perfume. I really think this is interesting. I reckon you lot are going to love it, right?
Well, it's one of the most conventional, I thought.
Yeah, and do you know what? But I feel like after getting a feel for the brand, this was the last one that I smelled, right? And to me, it was like, this is really sweet and conventional and nice. And then I checked the name, and it's like Amber Classico Modern, and I was like, is this guy taking the piss? Is he sort of? Is this a?
He pretty much is.
Yeah, is this basically a commentary on modern amber perfumes? And it's this sort of slightly sweet, slightly spicy amber that's quite a bit, easygoing, and it's a bit shit.
When you first smell it, the opening is very cardamom.
Yeah,
I find the orange, that really bright citrus, very juicy, fruity opening, almost like there's an orange oil floor polish that you can get for woods and for wooden floors, but also for wooden furniture, and it really, really reminds me of that, and that almost astringently, and the woods underneath it are like only if they've been polished with this really, really heavy citrus orange oil polish, and I found it dry down really sherbety. And there's a juice box it really reminded me of called Use Abuse, which again is a very citrus floral amber, very modern amber, and I felt like they had a lot in common, but I didn't really feel that it was, for me, it was that ambery. I felt it was more kind of like sherbety orangey.
Yeah,
smelled a bit like biscuits.
Right. So interestingly, I think it starts off with loads of fucking cardamom, and that orange, right? So it's got like an orangey, tangy sort of citrus. And then, I only know this because it's not going to happen in time while I've got this strip here, but I know that it goes more woody. For a guy who made probably one of the most iconic Amber Accords in Amber Absolute, it's nothing like Amber Absolute. It's to the point where it's not a labdanic amber, it's not a benzoin, it's not an amber in that classic sense. However, it's much more woody. But then later on, an Amber Accord develops, and you're like, it is actually quite an ambery perfume. And then by the end, it's quite very, very pleasant, to the point where all this other stuff. So I think it goes through quite a few stages, and I think that's clever. And I think that is giving us something that other amber perfumes are kind of on, in a sense. So do I like it though? Not really.
Oh, really?
It's all right. Yeah, it's all right. But I'm not totally enamored by it. I'm just like, it's all right. It's not, to me, it's well made, and it transitions through all these different kind of things. But I'm not that, like I say, I'm not that enamored by it myself. But I think it's as interesting and as diverse and frankly mental as some of his other perfumes are.
Yeah,
you know.
I think it's So on the one hand, it is quite conventional to me in that it at least smells of nice things most of the way through. But I think the sherbety sort of fizziness to it that you mentioned is definitely there.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, I get a similar sort of fizziness from the Tower LDDM. In fact, the whole Towerade kind of thing to me is a fizziness. And I think I'm just processing, Ben, whether what you said is right. Is this just him sort of having a bit of a laugh at modern ambers and taking the piss? But regardless, the output I think is really very nice. It's a nice perfume. It's very wearable. It's a really nice amber. It is quite different. I mean, it's conventional, but still sort of unique. And I don't know. Of all of them,
like you say, fizzy orange sherbet, cardamom. Kind of, it's intense, kind of like woody notes, and an Amber Accord that sort of develops. That is original for me.
Sort of like custard cream biscuits. Does anyone get that? Like fizzy custard cream biscuits?
I'm not going to go.
What about scranning loads of custard cream biscuits and then drinking some like Fanta?
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm going to do tomorrow? I'm going to wear the Amber Classico with the rhubarb, and I'm gonna make my own unique
that noxious fucking potion,
chemical soup.
You're not gonna wear that to the gym, are you?
Yeah, I might do actually. Fuck them.
Just violence on the gym.
Yeah.
You'll get kicked out.
Yeah, no, probably will actually. Yeah, I'm surprised. I'm surprised at how kind of easy going that one is, frankly, compared to a lot of the others.
Sweet. I found it very sweet.
Too sweet.
Yeah. I found it very, very sweet. Particularly the more it dried down, it kind of got sweeter and sweeter. And on my skin, at least, it became very sherbety. And I ended up feeling like someone had bowled me in sugar.
God, I keep picking up the strip of no perfume and testing.
You're not happy.
And every time I am not happy. That's going over there.
I've got it sat right over there, like really far away on my desk. Like all the others are kind of closer.
But by comparison, to no perfume, the tuberose one, which I hate, is actually seeming really rather pleasant now. It's almost like who was that lunatic philosopher that said, that chewed glass so that, when you stop chewing glass, the ecstasy of no longer being in pain kind of thing. Simply not
That's
chewing
my
glass.
approach to music.
Really?
Yeah.
Genuinely is my approach to music. That's how I create. I'm really into drone music, and my idea is that if you just fucking grind people into the ground after about half an hour of like pure noise, then you give them something nice, and it'll be this like relief. But you have to suffer.
You have to suffer
to get
first.
the relief.
Yeah. Well, perhaps that's my saying, tuberose, that's all right. It's I hate it, but it's absolutely lovely in comparison to no perfume.
Is it an amuse-bouche? Is that what they call them? Like a palate cleanser?
Palate cleanser, yeah. No perfume, palate cleanser, genius. Absolute genius. Perhaps that's what it is, to make you appreciate everything else. All right, let's pick another one. How many more have we got? I think is it
last one? Isn't
more
it?
now.
Louis? Well, I think we might then move on to live testing of some others because So Louis, so is it just me, or is Louis pretty straightforward, kind of aromatic, sort of? I don't know, fairly masculine sort of perfume. I got
like
that.
But so I found that it was very, very clean on that opening. That's fresh, spicy, male aromatic. But it was so clean. That pine and the musk almost put it into loo cleaner territory for me on my skin.
Yeah,
and then
it does.
I was like,
I was going to say that. It
I
smells
was
like floor
bloody
cleaner.
hell, I'm going to have to sit through this because I've already sprayed it on me. I'm not going to scrub. Don't scrub, Fliss, don't scrub. But after about an hour, the dry down became so much softer and the cumin started to kick in. And then after about 2 hours, it was just all cumin and BO. And I actually really, really loved it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I my trajectory is exactly the same. I would have literally just said exactly what Fliss just said. So it opens and you're like, oh God, that's quite a cheap. And the thing is about Christophe, we can maybe reflect on this at the end, that he likes to put this kind of, he likes ozonic notes. He likes these kind of minerals, sort of like, maybe like Lily of the Valley, certain things that are kind of like seen as those sort of midi kind of like things. And maybe you think, oh God, he's gone a bit too far with that. It's very soapy and stuff to begin with. But then, like I say, once that's gone, you get this, saying about like cardamom in the other one. I mean, this is like cumin and cardamom. Just interestingly enough, I wasn't sure whether this was the one, but it isn't. So there's one that's a remix of Declaration. So he took the inspiration from Declaration, but that's called Sailors, and that's one of the other ones that we have. So it maybe smells Sailors like in comparison, I don't know, but to me, this could be along those similar lines because it has that cumin caraway effect, but through this kind of like you say, sort of broadly men's aromatic slightly transparent, evoking sort of Jean-Claude Helena type vibes to it. But so does Sailors as well. So I think they're not a million miles apart, and they both could be perhaps different takes on a declaration type thing. I really liked Lewis, I must say, Lewis. I think it's really good, but don't be put off by the opening.
I had to sit through about the first hour. Is all I would say to people. And then everything just changed. I was like, here we go.
Here's the subtlety. Here's the nuance. Yeah, exactly.
I liked it. Go on, Ben.
Oh, no, I was going to say my feelings are you basically, you pair have summed up exactly anything that I would have said about it. So it's like, when I first sprayed it, I was like, oh, this smells like cheap floor cleaner. It smells like a bucket full of floor cleaner. But then after about 10 minutes, it started to smell nice. And then I loved it. And it ended up my second favourite of all of them. So like there's one more that I liked more, but this was my second favourite. I thought it was really nice. But yeah, basically you guys have said exactly anything I would. So Dan, what do you reckon?
So this is my sort of territory, right? Aromatic, masculine, bit of a cumin note. I like cumin as a note, actually. I know it can go quite grubby and BO-ish, which I think is okay. This idea that it smells like body odor. It smells, yes, like body odor, but it doesn't smell like sort of, dirty fucking bastard who just stinks odor. It just has a body-like quality to it. And I think that's what I like about cumin. And cumin or the other one that's sort of similar is like caraway sort of scent. Both of them give this really substantial, I think, kind of masculine vibe to a perfume. But this, to me, is conventional territory. It's much more conventional than all of the others, I thought. And I really enjoyed it.
I heard something interesting that somebody said on a live stream, and it was something like in German. It might have even been Christophe talking about how some of these spices are kind of confused with each other. And obviously we know that Americans call coriander cilantro, and in different countries they call different things. And apparently some places cumin is called caraway, or vice versa in German or something like that. And that's why sometimes there's confusion. Now they do smell slightly similar anyway. And I don't think they're related in terms of the plants or whatever. But yeah, no, that's just interesting.
I didn't know that.
There's these crossover things between. I think it might have even been Rachel. But I suppose she called you Brian, didn't she?
Rachel Ing, yeah.
Rachel Ing, yeah.
I'm calling her Brian now. So, how the tables have turned, Rachel.
Exactly. So anyway, no, just an interesting little thing. No research done by me there at all. Didn't even really remember.
I just made it all up.
Go look it up. Well, just go look it up.
I'm prepared to believe there's some truth in that. So cumin and caraway, to me, definitely when used, certainly in the context of perfumery, just for me conjure the same sort of, slightly sweaty vibe, but it can be done in such a good way, and for me this is excellently done. I of all the perfumes that I tried, I would say that would be the one that I would wear. Right, I could wear several of them. That's the one I definitely would wear. I'd be like, yeah, cool, I'll wear that today. Oddly, I could imagine that coming strangely in an Atkinson's bottle or something. It's got that sort of slightly oldie world, Bond Street, I don't know, tailors, bankers, that kind of London vibe.
Yeah, they like a little peppery perfume, don't they? Or spicy little perfume.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. And for me, it sort of it stood out from the rest of them as smelling reasonably natural. it doesn't have that same kind of hey, this smells like a fucking car park, or this smells like this smells like an electric fucking rhubarb, or this smells like an amber with fizzy sherbets, and this just smells like fairly natural territory. I was surprised by it, and for me it sort of sticks out of the range a little bit for that. So those are the 6. We've got a little time left. Should we talk about one more?
Can we smell dangerous curves, please?
We can.
Well, he goes and gets it. Can I just say that I went off piste and I tried Fig My Love because I couldn't wait for figs, and I loved that. I love it a lot, so much. I think I might have to get myself some. It is a very, very amped up fig, but it actually smells really natural in many respects. But it's woody and milky and creamy and sappy and green and crunchy, and it's just all of the fig. It's just all of the fucking fig in a bottle. I love it.
All the figs, all the time.
I tried to initiate a conversation with Christophe, and I have exchanged messages with him before and stuff, but I'd made a fig perfume.
I know, you've told us, and it's a pretty good one. You don't like to toot your own horn, but it's a good one.
Well, it's all right. I mean, it's getting towards a thing that you could go, I'm happy to sort of present it to people. Did you smell it? Did I send it to you?
I can't remember. Oh, no, I think maybe you did.
Yeah, I think I did. Anyway, the fact that I would even send it to you means that, it mustn't be complete shite. But I kind of asked him because I haven't smelled that one again now, but I felt it had, a slightly vanilla-y thing to it as well. And I thought, that's an interesting direction, and the coconuttiness of the leaves and stuff. And I sent him my formula and said, I know, obviously, you probably would want a consultancy fee for this, but can you just have a look at it for free and give me some fucking advice? And he didn't get back to me. So,
I thought you were gonna say, and he got back to me with a handwritten note saying how pleased it. No, he just ignored you.
No, he didn't. I don't blame him.
Well,
this
fig is excellent.
It is really good, isn't it? It wears.
It's a whole lot of figginess.
It wears really, really well. I was wearing it for a whole day, and I was like, ooh. I thought to myself.
You were all on the lookout for a fig.
Well, that's why I sprayed it, because I just couldn't wait for the fig anymore. I needed it now. And it, fig me right up. And it's a whole lot of fig, and it's a good fig. It's yeah.
you dirty bastard. Right. Okay. Well.
Wow.
Let's talk about one last one. Let's do dangerous curves. James.
I love it. It's probably one of my favourite ones of the line.
The full title is Dangerous Curves Amanda Lepore.
Yes. So it's for Amanda Lepore, who is a model, just kind of extreme sort of Marilyn Monroe kind of look, amongst other sort of looks. She's a trans model and New York socialite, I believe, and clearly, I'm assuming, friends with Christophe, and he's made a perfume for her. And I mean, it is like what you'd expect. It's massively OTT. I love the effervescent, boozy, champagne-y type opening to it. I love it's got this powdery rose and kind of cosmetics, that kind of vibe to it for a while, and then it kind of goes to a sort of I get that same effervescence from Olibanum, so I get Amouage, Lyric Man type. It's got this kind of beautiful sort of powdery trail, a bit like Lyric Man and Woman. It's kind of that rose, and then it just sort of builds into a beautiful rose, but I think it's got a bit of sort of labdanum kind of in the opening as well. I love it. It's powdery. It's kind of just over the top, but it's also kind of boozy and like fruity and rosy. And yeah, it's great.
It's obnoxious. And I don't mean that in a sort of critical way. It's like it's deliberately obnoxious. It's like a huge, ostentatious, darling, this is fabulous type perfume.
It really is.
It's enormous, kind of mad floral fucking explosion, and you can just imagine. I've just looked up Amanda Lepore.
Have you seen Amanda Lepore?
I've just looked her up, and I was like,
there you go.
Yep, definitely. I can imagine Amanda Lepore walks past you. This is what she smells like. It's like, bam, totally uncompromising, like fierce, fucking insane florals and like just bosh. I would never dream of ever wearing this perfume. Not ever, not once, not in my life. No. But as a fucking case study in the most fabulous perfume ever, darling, this is sensational. I think it's brilliant.
You keep doing that answer.
I do. Hey, well done. You remember?
I think you're going to do it.
Yeah, I should. I should.
You just did a me. You basically started out saying this is fucking horrendous, but I love it.
Yeah. Well, I sort of love the perfume and the brilliance of it, and you know, everything about it other than actually wearing it, because it's
a celebration of perfume. If you like perfume, even if you don't think you'd wear it or whatever, you've got to concede that you've got to like this, because it's
agree.
It's so fucking perfumey. It's the ultimate perfume.
No, I agree. It's the most perfume in the whole world of perfume ever, and I think it is a work of absolute, unqualified genius. If you look up Amanda Lepore, this is how she smells. I have no doubt whatsoever about it. And it's a marvelous creation. I just wouldn't ever wear it. Ever, not once.
I fucking love it. And
really?
You know what? I think you're all right about all those things, but I think because it's got that quite strong powdery element to it, it makes it wearable. Because if it didn't have that, I think it would be completely, like you say, just bombastic and mad. But because it has that kind of powdery bit, it's like that just takes the edge off and makes it like on the right side of acceptable, if you know what I mean. This was my favourite one of the whole line.
Oh, really?
And it was it was the first one I sprayed, and I'd had no idea. I was like, don't know, let's just try this one. And I immediately, I stuck it straight on my wrist, and immediately I was like, I love this. This is brilliant. I think out of all of them, it just stayed at the top. Nothing came close to it to me as I thought it was brilliant. Yeah. By far the best one.
What it reminds me of, and I'll just say this because I've said this before, and it's like when you're walking towards the perfume department and you can smell, it's like that little smell of like excitement that you get, just like the stuff drifting through the air. You know you're going to be like hit with this kind of thing. And that a lot of people might associate that with bad things, like, really tenacious stuff and ambroxan and all that kind of shit. But it's like a tingling sort of like excitement kind of thing. And that's what I got from smelling this from a distance, from just spraying it on the strip and going, oh yeah. And then you get a bit closer and then you can actually identify what's going on in the perfume. Because it could have been anything really. It was just like what it actually was amazing. But like that little excitement at a distance of the anticipation almost of what is it going to be. I found it very, I fucking love it. Like, I think it's great.
Fliss?
Fliss hates it.
She hates it. It's just a bit much. It's no.
Yeah, there's no doubting that. It is definitely a bit
just a little bit of a cough. I find it a little bit plasticky. And there's a plasticky top note that I can't unsmell. And on my skin, I want the orris and the leatheriness to come through more, and it just doesn't. I mean, admittedly, I've only just sprayed it, and with all of these, I feel as if you sit with them for 3, 4, 5 or more hours, they all have a bigger journey than the initial blast. So, and you know, I've done that already with a couple of and sat through something and then gone, oh my God, I love it, like with the Louis. So it's possible that with this on my skin, I'll sit with it, and after an hour or two, I'm going to wake up in the morning and be like, fucking hell. The Tuberose Organic as well, you know, I'm sniffing that again, and that's already morphed just on the strip from just the length of this episode. All of them have got a huge story, so you can't, I think that however you feel about any of them when you first spray them, you don't believe that's going to be how you're going to feel about them in 2 hours time, because you will probably have changed your mind and almost pendulum swung in some way. But I know I love it.
Isn't that
but
brilliant,
for me right now, Dangerous Curves is not my favourite.
Okay, well, look, let's think about wrapping this up. So tell me, Fliss, which were your favourites?
So I will almost definitely be purchasing Tuberose Organique, because I think the dry down is sublime, and I am definitely purchasing Fig My Love, which I went off piste and had a sniff of that myself this week. It's a phenomenal fig, absolutely boom. And I wore it all day, and I was just like, yeah, I need this.
Excellent. And which did you hate?
Oh, that no. The club design I just thought was like some. Well, we've already discussed the words that I used, and if I say them again, I'll get told off, so I won't. But that was just spermy and plasticky and rubbery.
What and you liked that one less than No Perfume?
Oh, No Perfume actually. Yeah, it was that huge, big, bombastic, smoky beginning. But for me, it was very Tonnerre and Beauforty and whatever. And I was like, yeah, I enjoy that big, smoky top notes. I didn't enjoy the dry down, and because I think, like Ben said, they didn't have as much as those Beauforts it didn't go in as many places as I wanted it to. But the initial blast of it, I actually quite liked. I quite like a big bonfire. I like standing so close to a bonfire that all the smoke gets in your hair and your clothes, and then the next day smelling it on your jeans and in your jumper and in your hair. I love that. So, yeah, that's
nice. Okay, Ben, loves and hates.
I think like so. To wear, I loved. Louis and Dangerous Curves for me were the two that I just loved them. I just thought they were brilliant. I could wear them all the time. Really enjoyed wearing them. Loved smelling them. Thought they were great. But I also did really love No Perfume and Club Design. Less so from like a wearing perspective, but fully for like the art of it. I hated the rhubarb one and the tuberose one. I didn't like those at all. But all the rest basically fell either in the sort of like could take it or leave it or love section, but with a caveat of love but possibly not to wear, but love that they exist. And I think that probably sums up my feelings about the whole brand. I mean, I love this brand. This guy is a fucking nutcase. Like he's clearly like, I love his approach to it. It's so experimental, and clearly he's sort of got a very strong idea about what he wants to create, and he gets that across really succinctly. I mean, it's a very stylistic collection of perfumes, but that style is fucking bananas, and it makes it.
I'm so glad that you've smelled these, Ben, because to me, it was like when I smelled these zoos, I thought this is a perfect like thing for you, really, because I think Christophe, he has like the approach of an artisan, somebody who's just really throwing ideas together, but he also has the kind of backing of like the training and everything as well. So he's got kind of like the best of like both worlds, but the way he approaches it is still like an indie perfumer. In that sense, you know, like, yes, he can follow briefs and he can do like millions of mods and do all this kind of stuff, but he can also just throw ideas at the wall that other people just aren't doing. And he can do them with... other people might do them, but they don't have the ability to make them evolve over the time of the perfume so that you get all these different facets and things, because he knows exactly the weight and the way that things will sort of fade out, and, you know, just the way of balancing the materials, basically. And a lot of people can't do that. You know, they might have the big ideas and be able to, and you'll go, oh wow, but they just kind of fall apart, or they don't evolve over that time, and they don't have that kind of, it is balance. So I think, just loads of the things that he uses as well, loads of synthetics and loads of, like say, all those Lily of the Valley chemicals that I can't fucking remember. But there's loads of things like floral ozone, stuff that he just uses, and like he'll put, you know, it's just like, and it's kind of slightly off-putting for a little bit, but then you realize that he's got all these other elements to this perfume that seems very ozonic and sort of boring, but then he'll use like spice really sort of adeptly, and it's just like it's really exciting perfumery, however you look at it. I think they're like fantastic, you know, just brilliant. Just to be awkward, my favorites are Spacewood, which we didn't smell or talk about. No, not I'm only joking. Out of the ones that we talked about, obviously Dangerous Curves was probably my favorite. I do love the rhubarb, but I find it's a very throwaway perfume for me. It's almost like not serious, and I don't mean to kind of diminish it by saying that, but it's kind of a very
that's exactly what it says on the tin.
Vibe. It's like
for a very long time,
exactly.
And it doesn't stop doing what it says on the tin.
I think
until it's 8 hours in.
Sure. I actually love the Tuberose Organique, even though I was like, I couldn't really wear it to begin with and stuff like that. But I'm going to persevere with that one because I think it's a remarkably good perfume. And smelling it on the strip like a few days later, it is stunning. And I'm like, I want it to smell like that, but I don't care if it goes like that. I need to wear it basically. So I think that is one that I really like. So mainly brand, those three out of the ones that we've smelled.
Sorry, Dan, before you do yours,
okay.
But just sort of is that you smell? If you smell just one perfume, right, you'd go away thinking, okay, that was fucking mental. Probably wouldn't like it, because I think they're all quite difficult at first. I think they all sort of hit a bit hard, so they take a bit of time to appreciate what they're doing. But I think when you smell them as a collection, as a whole, you realise that it's cohesive, like, and it's done on purpose, like, and they're all like, what I think if you smell one by itself, like, it has that rough, raw indie perfume vibe to it that might make you think, this is just a one-off, like, he's just thrown this together. But when you smell them all, you realise, no, this is all carefully calculated style. And it's impressive from that perspective, like as from like an artistry thing. I think it's amazing. Even the ones I hated, I was like, this fits in. Like, this is.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing in terms of smelling them all, you know, one after another for a week, and really living with them as a house over that week. There is a really distinct style, and even the ones you dislike, you can really feel that there is, as you rightly say, Ben, there's a cohesive quality, and that the quality, I can't really put it into words, but there is a DNA to it now. That I think if I smell the others, I'll be like, oh yeah, there you go. That's right, you know.
So
isn't it interesting? Sorry, Dan, I'll just say this quickly. Isn't it interesting smelling the Strangelove and then smelling this?
Different.
And thinking they're all made by the same perfumer, and these are...
So I didn't realise that it was the same perfumer until I smell Club Design, and then I was like, no, this smells like Silence the Sea, and I looked it up and was like, it's the same fucking guy.
So for me, this whole brand is like the antithesis of Louis Vuitton, right? So you can go into a Louis Vuitton boutique and they've got a whole collection, which is a very well curated collection, by the way, and they mostly smelled really good, and I think actually most of the Louis Vuitton are really decent perfumes, you can't really argue with them, but they all smell nice, right? And they are just about smelling nice. At the other end of the spectrum, I mean, obviously there's a load of shit perfumery. This is at the other end of the quality perfumery section. There is like this kind of wild artistic sort of intent to create a range of perfumes that represent a whole different array of things, not about smelling nice, but about fucking creating art. And I think that's what he's done here. I think it's a brilliant range. I mean, technically, I don't really appreciate the technicalities at all, but my instinct is that these are all technically very adept perfumes, and it's well put together, and none of them really smell too much like anything else I've ever smelled before. So just having a range of 12 perfumes or whatever the number is, where nothing smells like anything else I've tried, is itself quite a feat. But I think the reality is with anything this artistic, you're going to have a lot of fucking things that you simply don't like. It may well be that there's something for everyone in this range, but I guarantee there's something that's not for everyone. So for every single person that tries these, I guarantee there's at least one that will make you fucking want to throw up, and that's probably no perfume for most people. Personally, I'm now not sure about club design. I maybe retract my fucking simplistic analysis of it just being grapefruit and a rather tame leather. There's obviously more going on there. But for me, I really liked Louis. Louis I would wear. I would probably buy. I really liked the amber one. I probably wouldn't buy any of the others. Maybe I'd consider the fig one. But for me, I think Dangerous Curves, I can't say it's my favourite because it's not, right? But there is something so absolutely fucking bonkers about it that I would strongly recommend everyone try it.
Get it for Auntie Eve.
Yeah, I think I might. I might have to. Yeah, good old Auntie
right.
Eve.
Just as a last note on this brand for me, I think they're all, for me, were like really like highly evocative of real world things as well. Like almost every one, I sort of felt like, oh, this reminds me of this in my life, or this thing that I remember, or whatever. Like they all had like anchors in real world. It was quite uncanny that like I say, even the underground car park, I was like, oh, this reminds, and weirdly, I saw my parents a couple of days ago, and I said to them, oh yeah, it reminded me of an underground car park that used to really smell, and I can't remember where it was. And my dad was like, oh, the one in Safeway in Seaford. And I was like, yes, that's the one. And it was like, but it was like, like they were that evocative. You know what I mean? They all remind me of something quite specific. This is when we find out
that Christophe, in fact, spent a couple of weeks working at Safeway in Seaford in the mid-90s.
Yeah, deep research. No, this wasn't in the 90s. He only did it like the other week.
Yeah, deep research. I like that. Yeah, method acting, method perfumery. Before we go, I do want to say again, thanks to Brooke at Sainte Cellier. I think Brooke only ships in the UK, but I think if you are in the UK and you are looking for your next perfume hit, my strongest possible advice is to check out the Sainte Cellier website. Brooke is doing a fantastic job bringing all sorts of brands, including Les Indémodables, back to the UK. So well worth checking out. And her
customer service is phenomenal. Exquisite. You will have the best experience.
Phenomenal.
We all got a lovely note, didn't we?
I got one.
A lovely little note inside.
Dan, you are my favourite. All the rest of these fuckers are no. Yes. So Brooke is fantastic, and Brooke, thank you very much from all of us for the samples. And thank you to Christophe for creating them. It was jolly interesting, and thank you to you, our dear listeners, for tuning in. I think that's all from us this week. We'll be back in a couple of weeks with more Les Oderants. See you soon. Bye.
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 Bye.